Here are today's top stories. The Philippine National Police orders a manhunt operation against the self-proclaimed accuser of President Duterte and his allies. Mayor Carlwin Baldo, the alleged mastermind of the killing of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batucabe, surrenders to the police. Malacanang expresses confidence that the economy will hit its 2019 growth target and review the steps that voters need to accomplish as they cast their votes during the May 13 midterm elections.
Good day, I am Miguel Hill and welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The man claiming to be alias Bicoy, the video personality who tagged President Rodrigo Duterte and many others in the illegal drugs trade, is wanted by the law. Police are set to arrest him for his involvement in numerous crimes in the past. More on this from Benj Bondok.
The Philippine National Police launched today a manhunt against Peter Jomel Advincula, the man who calls himself alias Bicoy, of the Ang Totoong Narcolist video series. The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group has on its hands the arrest warrants for Advincula. PNP spokesperson Colonel Bernard Banak said the manhunt operation against Advincula is based on his standing warrant of arrests from 2007. He's facing charges of estafa before the Municipal Trial Court of La Trinidad Benguet in September 2007 and large-scale illegal recruitment before Branch 6 of the Baguio City Regional Trial Court in August 2007. He was also jailed for a separate large-scale illegal recruitment case in 2012 and was released in 2016. Advincula reportedly uses the name R.R. Santos to elude arrest. Earlier, Banak said the PNP is monitoring Advincula after he surfaced in a press conference as the face of alias Bicoy. Bicoy is accused of having ties with the opposition, particularly in the alleged plot to oust President Duterte. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo is protesting how he has been targeted by anti-Duterte netizens. In a statement on Thursday night, Panelo said an anti-Duterte page depicted him in a meme showing that he is endorsing the opposition senatorial slate and others. He said despite the nature of the political meme, he noted that there are netizens who believe whatever they see in the internet, even if they are obviously false. Panelo said in what he called a defamatory imputation shows the opposition's desperation as election day draws near. He called on Facebook's fact-checkers to act impartial and settle the matter. Panelo also said the bogus endorsement shows that he has been effective as a spokesperson in neutralizing the black propaganda against President Duterte. The main suspect behind the killing of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batucabe is now under police custody. PNP spokesperson Bernard Banak said Daraga Mayor Carlwin Baldo voluntarily surrendered to Judge Maria Teresa San Juan Loquillo of RTC Branch 10 in Legazpi City this morning. He is currently detained at the BJMP District Jail in Legazpi City. The PNP earlier failed to serve the arrest warrant against Mayor Baldo last Monday. Baldo and 5 other suspects are facing charges of double murder and frustrated murder. Batucabe and his security aide, SPO2 Orlando Diaz, were shot dead on December 22, 2018. Batucabe was supposed to run as Daraga Mayor against Baldo this upcoming election. Baldo has denied involvement in the killing, but other suspects identified him as the mastermind. In other news, 3 persons were killed in a shooting incident inside the National Center for Mental Health in Mandaluyong City. Police reports stated that the incident happened in one of the wards on Thursday afternoon. A 27-year-old psychiatric patient was allegedly shot by his grandfather after giving a different answer to his question. The grandfather also fired at the victim's grandmother, who went mad about her grandchild's death. She was sent to the hospital where she eventually died. The grandfather killed himself after the incident. The PNP is investigating the matter as it questioned how the grandfather was able to slip a gun past security. Meanwhile, the Department of Health expressed grief and condolences to the families of the shooting victims. In a statement, the DOH confirmed that no other patients or staff were hurt nor involved in the incident. The Supreme Court calls for the quick resolution of the killing of a judge in Zamboanga del Norte, and COMELEC reminds the public to follow the election liquor ban starting Sunday. More on these and other news around the metro from Janice Cabe.
The Supreme Court on Thursday called on authorities to quickly act on the murder of Judge Raymar Lacaya of Sindangan, Zamboanga del Norte RTC Branch 11. Chief Justice Lucas Bersamin condemned the incident as he called for justice. Lacaya, who was shot dead in Liloy, Zamboanga del Norte on Thursday afternoon, is the 30th active judge to be slain since 1999. Meanwhile, the Department of Education is now ready for the midterm elections. Over 500,000 officials, teachers, and non-teaching personnel will be deployed, trained, and provided assistance through the DepEd Election Task Force in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The DepEd has also started the preparation of 36,830 schools, which will be used as poll precincts nationwide. In other news, a liquor ban will be implemented across the country starting Sunday as part of measures to secure Monday's polls. The PNP will enforce election laws, particularly the liquor ban, effective midnight on Sunday, which will last until Election Day. During this period, selling and drinking alcoholic beverages is prohibited as part of efforts to ensure peaceful elections. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cabe.
Still to come, Malacanang expresses confidence that the economy will hit its 2019 growth target. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde reiterates his order to prevent violence in election hotspots. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Eleksyon na sa May 13, 2019. Mula 6 a.m. hanggang 6 p.m. ang botohan. Ang mga rehistradong botante ay boboto ng 12 senador at isang party list para sa national positions at isang miyembro ng House of Representatives, governor, vice governor, mayor, vice mayor at mga miyembro ng sangguniang panlalawigan, panlungsod at bayan para sa local positions. At bilang isang botante, ang pagboto ay dapat nating paghandaan. Narito ang gabay para sa tamang pagboto.
Bago pa man dumating ang araw ng eleksyon, pag-isipang mabuti ang mga kandidatong nais iboto. Mainam na gumawa na ng listahan ng mga iboboto. Para sa maalam na pagdedesisyon, alamin ang plataforma, track record, background, paninindigan sa mga isyu at iba pang mahalagang impormasyon ukol sa mga kandidato. Sa araw ng eleksyon, pumunta sa iyong polling place. Mabuting magdala ng anumang valid ID. Hanapin ang inyong pangalan sa listahan ng botanteng nakapaskil at tandaan ang inyong precinct number at sequence number sa listahan. Lumapit sa electoral board at sabihin ang inyong pangalan, precinct number at sequence number. Sisiguraduhin ng electoral board ang inyong pagkakakilanlan gamit ang EDCVL o Election Day Computerized Voters List o sa pamamagitan ng Voter Registration Verification Machine o VRVM na gagamitin naman sa ilang mga piling lugar. Matapos masiguro ang iyong pagkakakilanlan at walang nakitang anumang marka ng indelible ink ang inyong mga kuko, bibigyan kayo ng isang balota. Suriin ang balota para masiguro na wala itong anumang marka o shade liban lamang sa pirma ng Electoral Board Chairperson.
Gamit ang marking pen, i-shade ng buo ang bilog sa tabi ng pangalan ng kandidatong iyong napili. Huwag mag-overvote o mag-shade ng lagpas sa dami ng kandidatong dapat iboto sa bawat posisyon.
Ipasok ang inyong balota sa VCM o Vote Counting Machine at pagkatapos, ibalik ang marking pen at ballot secrecy folder. Ipoproseso ng VCM ang inyong balota at makakas na ang inyong boto. Pagkatapos, magpiprint na ng voting receipt ang VCM kung saan nakasulat ang inyong mga binoto. Ang resibo ay itutupi ng Electoral Board at gugupitin. Bago ibigay ang resibo, lalagyan ng indelible ink ang kuko ng inyong kanang hintuturo. Suriin ang inyong voting receipt at pagkatapos ay ihulog ito sa nakatakdang lagayan at saka lumabas na ng polling place. Tandaan, bawal ilabas, iuwi at kuhanan ng litrato ang resibo.
Simple, madali. Kaya sa May 13, 2019, sumama sa pagdesisyon para sa bayan sa pamamagitan ng pagboto. Dahil ikaw, ako at bawat botanteng Pilipino ay bahagi ng malayang bayan, malayang halalan.
Isang paalala mula sa COMELEC Voter Education Committee at ng himpilang ito.
Malacanang on Thursday night expressed confidence that the government can achieve the target gross domestic product growth rate for 2019. The Philippine economy expanded by 5.6% in the first quarter of 2019, slower than the 6.5% growth recorded during the same period last year. The government's full year 2019 economic target is at 6 to 7%. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said President Duterte and the cabinet have been briefed about the situation, adding that economic momentum is on the government side. He said the recent slowdown was due to the 2019 budget impasse in Congress, which has already been resolved. Panelo also slammed so-called prophets of doom who proclaim that the economy is failing despite the opposite happening. He said the government expects higher growth in the next few quarters of the year due to the Build Infrastructure program. The Department of Trade and Industry remains confident it is still on track to attain export targets even after merchandise export performance declined by 3.1% in the first quarter this year. In a new statement on Thursday, Trade Secretary Ramon Lopez said the government is continuously working on diversifying the country's export offerings and destinations, and is also pursuing trade initiatives to increase exports to trade partners. Lopez said his department is looking at focusing its promotional efforts for products and services considered as export growth drivers. These include office equipment, consumer electronics, motor vehicle and motor vehicle parts, high-value coconut products, forest products, and wearables. Figures from the Philippine Statistics Authority showed that exports in March slid 2.5% from $6.02 billion during the same period in 2018. Lopez said that trade promotional efforts are being done in the non-traditional markets in Russia, Africa, Latin America, and South Asia, as their huge population can provide for alternative export markets in the near future. Several members of terrorist groups surrendered to authorities in various areas in Mindanao. In Lanao del Sur, a member of Daula Islamia, formerly known as the Maute Group, surrendered to government authorities last Wednesday. West Mincom Chief Arnel de la Vega identified the surrenderer as Hilal Pamaloy Biston from Barangay Langkap, Marawi City. Biston turned over an M16 rifle with ammunition. Meanwhile, 5 members of the New People's Army operating in Sarangani and South Cotabato provinces surrendered to government forces and yielded their firearms on Wednesday night. The 5 who were listed as residents of Sitios Tungkay and Lumuyon of Barangay Ned in Lake Cebu, South Cotabato, were previously under Platoon Samsung of the NPA's Front 73. On Tuesday morning, 15 NPA rebels under the Front's 73's platoon Cherry Mobile also surrendered voluntarily in Lebac Town. The surrender was facilitated by the Regional Mobile Force Battalion 12, Sultan Kudarat Police, and the 1st Marine Brigade. The 20 surrenderers were formally presented by PRO 12 to PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde, who visited the regional headquarters on Thursday. Authorities arrested several village officials and civilians for violating the election gun ban. In Batangas City, police arrested an incumbent village chief last Wednesday after a search warrant yielded a gun and ammunition in his possession at his residence in Balete Town. Barangay San Sebastian chairperson yielded a .45 caliber gun or pistol magazines, and 16 pieces of live ammunition. In Zamboanga, Sibugay, Village Chief Reynaldo Pañeres of Barangay Quima in Payao Town was arrested in a random Comelec checkpoint on Thursday. Police recovered a .45 caliber pistol with 17 rounds of live ammunition from the chairman. In another checkpoint, fishermen Yusuf Huple and Heram Susulan yielded a Springfield rifle and an M16 rifle with ammunition. Meanwhile, authorities arrested on Wednesday afternoon a farmer in Malang, North Cotabato for illegal possession of an unlicensed firearm. 2 pistols and ammunition were also seized in the house of Barangay Rosary Heights 1 Chief Peter Cortez Morales in Cotabato City. All suspects will be charged for violating the gun ban along with illegal possession of firearms. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde orders police in Regions 12 to secure the elections in hotspots from armed groups. Meanwhile, Angat Dam continues to lose water despite the recent rains. More on these and other stories from the provinces from Benj Bondok.
PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde ordered personnel of the Police Regional Office 12 on Thursday to prevent violence during the upcoming elections. Albayalde particularly ordered to closely monitor the activity of armed groups in election hotspots, especially in South Cotabato. Albayalde went around Mindanao to inspect preparations by local police for the polls on Monday. In Bulacan, the water elevation in Angat Dam slightly dipped even after heavy rains in Metro Manila and some parts of Bulacan Wednesday night. The water elevation in Angat Dam slightly slid to 174.78 meters on Thursday morning from 175.10 meters the previous day. The rate of decline in water elevation after the heavy rains is, however, a bit lower. Meanwhile, the Department of Energy in Region 11 assures there will be no power interruptions in Mindanao during the elections on May 13. The DOE told distribution utilities to be alert and prepare an election preparedness contingency plan. Electric cooperatives are likewise ordered to deploy personnel to act on problems as they arise. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondok.
Up next, tourism arrivals go up by 7.5% as more visitors flock to the newly rehabilitated Boracay. And review the steps that voters need to accomplish as they cast their votes on the May 13 midterm elections. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Today's theme, Building Opportunities for Filipino Women in Tourism, speaks of creating equal opportunities and recognizing equal responsibilities as well. This is a very timely forum as we observe Labor Day tomorrow, a day to honor our workers, each one of us who toils not just for self-gain, but for our families and our nation. The unprecedented growth of the tourism industry is attributed to the holistic effort of all our sectors, not just the government, not the private sector alone, but all of us working together.
Empowerment as an aspect of gender equality implies a society in which women and men enjoy the same opportunities, outcomes, rights, and obligations in aspects of life.
Republic Act 7192, which recognizes the role of women in nation building. It likewise conforms to the framework plan for women that promotes women's economic empowerment, women's rights, and gender-responsive governance. It also helps in integrating a gendered and development perspective in tourism.
With your help, we shall empower women for the Philippine tourism industry and make sure that it will be more fun forever.
The latest data from the Department of Tourism shows that tourist arrivals in the country increased by 7.59% in the first quarter of 2019. The DOT said around 2.2 million foreign visitors arrived in the country from January to March 2019. South Korea remains the top source market, followed by China and the United States. For March numbers alone, the DOT reported a visitor arrival of over 710,000 or an 11.13% growth from last year. Meanwhile, visiting Balikbayan sit over 14,000 as of March. DOT Secretary Bernadette Romulo Puyat attributed the growth in numbers of visitors to the rehabilitated Boracay Island as it continues to attract tourists since its reopening in October last year. The DOT is working on enhancing our tourism products and infrastructure to entice tourists to choose the Philippines as their next destination. In our foreign news, 11 people, including 6 assailants, were killed and 24 civilians wounded after Taliban suicide bombers attacked a U.S.-funded aid agency in Afghanistan's capital of Kabul on Wednesday. The attack started at midday when a suicide bomber rammed a car bomb into the gate of Counterpart International in central Kabul. 5 gunmen were killed during a counterattack conducted by Afghan elite police forces. The security forces evacuated safely about 200 people from the targeted building and nearby offices. The blast caused massive destruction. Afghan President Ashraf Ghani, the UN mission in the country, and ordinary Afghans strongly condemned the attack, which occurred in the 3rd day of Muslims' fasting month of Ramadan. In sports, President Rodrigo Duterte approved the release of 1 billion pesos as additional funding for the hosting by the Philippines of the 30th Southeast Asian Games. Philippine Southeast Asian Games Organizing Committee Chairman Alan Peter Cayetano welcomed on Thursday the additional fund that increased the total government budget for the SEA Games to 6 billion pesos. Cayetano said the president understood the importance of the SEA Games to the Filipino athletes and its long-term benefits to tourism and the economy. The FISGOC has proposed a 7.5 billion peso budget for SEA Games last year, but Congress slashed it to only 5 billion. The 2019 SEA Games will feature 56 sports and 523 events, making it the biggest edition in the history of the tournament, which the Philippines will host for the 4th time. The midterm elections is just around the corner. That's why the COMELEC is reminding voters to follow certain simple rules to make every vote count and ensure that the procedure runs smoothly. Janice Cave has the story.
On May 13, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the national and local elections will commence following a 4-month-long campaign period for national and local positions. The Commission on Elections reminds voters of 2 important things needed for a hassle-free poll process: proper shading and avoiding overvoting. Election Officer Stephanie Bagin said voters must remember to fully shade the circle beside the name of their candidate and avoid overvoting, or else their ballots would be voided by the vote counting machine. For senators, a voter could only pick 12 candidates or less. And while there are 59 seats available for party lists, a voter could only choose one group. The voting process starts from the voter looking into their name in the posted computerized voters list at the polling place, which would determine the precinct number and sequence number. Verification follows after a member of the electoral board verifies the voter's identity and checks if any of his or her fingernails have already been stained with indelible ink. In some areas, the voter registration verification machine will be used to verify the identity of the voter. The voter will then affix their signature in the election day computerized voters list. After these, the voter could now fill up the ballot and cast their vote in the VCM. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The midterm elections is happening on Monday, May 13. Is the voting public ready to cast their votes? And how will the government ensure peaceful and orderly elections this year? Benj Bondok has a story.
All eyes are on this year's midterm elections, where supporters and detractors of President Rodrigo Duterte go face-to-face. Amid the smoke and dust of the political arena, terror threats, violence, and controversies hounding the elections and undermining its credibility, the COMELEC, PNP, and election watchdogs are bracing themselves for what's about to happen as Filipinos cast their votes.
Parang extravaganza ang eleksyon dito sa atin.
Parang fiesta.
Hindi ito talagang democratic process eh. Everybody's excited, maraming nangyayaring sinasabi ng disinformation, mga false news, vote buying, vote selling.
Hindi lang po nangyayari sa isang lugar yan. Pupunta ang pulis dito, hindi mo na mabantayan yung kabila. No? Punta sa isang barangay, pero yung remaining 50 barangays, hindi mo na mababantayan.
Kaya nga, tama.
Talagang may makalusot, dahil sabi ko nga, hindi po natin mabantayan totally yan.
To learn more about what's happening behind the scenes of this year's elections, watch PNA's Pros and Cons every Friday at the PNA website.
We have another low-pressure area that is expected to bring rains in parts of the country. Pag-asa says the LPA was last spotted east of Hinatuan, Surigao del Sur early this morning. Eastern Visayas, Caraga, and Davao region will be the most affected as the LPA may bring cloudy skies with scattered light to heavy rain showers and thunderstorms. Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Here's another look at today's biggest stories.
The Philippine National Police orders a manhunt operation against the self-proclaimed accuser of President Duterte and his allies. Mayor Carlwin Baldo, the alleged mastermind of the killing of Ako Bicol Party List Representative Rodel Batucabe, surrenders to the police. Malacanang expresses confidence that the economy will hit its 2019 growth target and review the steps that voters need to accomplish as they cast their votes during the May 13 midterm elections.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all our social media platforms and websites. So it's going to be another long weekend. We're going to have the elections on Monday. So the COMELEC has reminded all of us, or all of you drinkers out there, that it will be strictly enforcing the drinking ban starting Sunday. So for all of you who plan to have a spirited weekend, don't do it. Because the COMELEC needs you to be sober as you cast your votes on Monday. And on that note, that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I am Miguel Hill. Good day.